Okay, hello everybody. Just FYI, this meeting is recorded, so don't do anything that you wouldn't want seen twice on this video. We're gonna post the recording to the website. I'm gonna give it a minute or two more, and then I'll start the presentation. Glad to see this. We have quite a few, 32 so far. How's everybody doing? It's a beautiful evening. I'll give it another minute and then we'll get started.
Really nice day.
Yeah, it's beautiful outside. It makes you just want to dance around in the sun.
Yep.
Okay. We'll wait till the 6:01 mark and get started. Okay. Well, we have everybody here. We have 40 participants so far. So first of all, I want to say hello to everybody. My name is Robert Lowe. I am the equity coordinator, which I'll be repeating again for the city of Beaverton. My coworker that I have along with me that will help answer questions at the end is my boss, Terry Moralt. You won't probably see her during the presentation, but you will get a chance to see her and talk to her at the end when we ask questions. So I ask your patience. Please hold all your questions to the end. We have a full presentation, but we also have a question portion. So if you have a question about a certain portion, please write it down and we'll address it at the end. So now to get started. I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. Then we're going to off my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen? We good? Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so to start out, once again, I am the equity coordinator for the city of Beaverton. This is the COVID outreach event for April 21st, 2021 for the city of Beaverton. Welcome everybody. We appreciate you taking the time and we'll get started. So the reason for this event, well, the reason for this event is to check the needs of the COVID community and stay engaged. Since our last event, we have been reaching out, getting feedback, and we've got a couple of things that the COVID community found challenging, and we want to address those directly. That's why it's very important to attend these events. Reach back out to us, be proactive. Shoot me an email if you say, hey, Rob, this is something bothering me. I remember somebody emailed me one time and they said, hey, we feel like, people are using unions a little bit more or nonprofits. They reached out and say, how can we, be successful at the COVID criteria? This is very important to us. And if you let us know things that bother you, which bother us, we'll address them in future events and make sure that our procurement process addresses those as well. So what should firms expect to leave with during this meeting? Well, first, you'd have a good understanding of our proposal processes and solicitations. Understand what to expect with construction bids, how nonprofits can excel at COVID criteria, and keys to successful contract relationship management. So please stay tuned. Keys to proposal success. Of course, we got the keys. So for proposal success tips, we want you to be as clear and as straightforward as possible. A lot of pictures, a lot of fluff. This just makes your proposal difficult to find information and therefore difficult to read. I know you can imagine if we have 7 people that we have to have conflict of interest with, all back working together, schedule of time. These are very busy people. They're not professional evaluators 24/7. So please have it, straightforward as possible. Make it easy to find your information. Make it so somebody that is an architect somewhere else can take a little time off of work and read your RFP and have an understanding of it, or read your proposal and have an understanding of it. You want to assure to provide all requested information in the RFP. I didn't know is not an excuse. Please be proactive. That's why we have meetings like this. For some of our bids, we have pre-bids. We always have emails available. I'm available. My boss Terry is available. Please reach out and use your resources. We want to help you. We understand that the COVID community has certain challenges and things like that. And we want to fill you in as much as possible and address your needs. And that's the reason why we're doing this meeting. You want to use the pre-proposal to ask questions and to get help. Come to the make sure you attend these. Make sure that you see who's there, see your competition. This gives you opportunity to see your competition. You also get to see certain COBID subs and learn their capabilities and reach and network and things like that. So this is a great opportunity for you to do that, and also it gets you ahead of the game and you're not behind. So even if they're mandatory, you have to attend. If they're non-mandatory, please attend them. And then if you're lost, let's say you're a new COVID company, you're like, how do I, I just got in this field. I feel like I'm an expert at, X, A, and B, but I'm not a proposal expert. How do I know who's been successful? How do I know how to, turn in a proposal if I don't have a proposal team and I'm not an expert in this? Well, one way they can do that is use a public records request for similar projects. A lot of projects are done every 5 years, every year for some projects. So you can see who was successful. You can see the runners up. A lot of people do the first, second, third runners up, and they make their proposal a mixture of that. You hear of a lot of people in certain fields that do that. I took this mentor, and this mentor, and did those things. And I think that you can do the same thing with these projects. Don't let anything stop you. The information is out there. And if you have questions on the RFP, call and get clarification. Once again, me, my boss, my team, we're all ready to help you. There's people in COVID and stuff like that who are also available to help you. And so now we'll run through the proposal content and format, which is section 4 of our proposal. So if you have a proposal, you'll get one. And please excuse me, I don't go straight to that section. We'll skip to it really quick though. 1 second. So we'll just do a quick run through of this section 4. So here you go. It's on the next page. Proposal content and format. So if you're proposing, so the proposal content and format basically go through administrative requirements. And this is just a blank one, but you'll have your cover page. It'll tell you how to format that, what to expect in that. You have your titles and content, your transmittal letter, your signature page and attestation of compliance with tax law. If there's a page limit, it'll go through that. Commitment to sustainability, proposal submittal addresses. This is a lot of, most of the time right now, especially during COVID. And I hate that COVID's so close, but we've been COVID before COVID, so we're still gonna rock with it. But now that there's COVID going on, of course, a lot of our proposals and things like that is a lot easier. You don't need the address, you can do it electronically, and we do that through BidLocker. So if you see that link right here, you can click there and submit there.
I don't think your screen changed.
Your slides are not moving.
Oh, I'm not. You can't see. Can everybody see the proposal content, or are you still?
Yeah, you're just stuck on the proposal success tips.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's not showing the actual content in the.
No, it's not.
Okay. Sorry. Let me pull this up and show. I guess when I shared the page, it didn't share the thing, so I got to share them separately. Sorry about that. Can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
So I guess I have to share from 2 different pages. Zoom challenges. So another thing that will happen is challenges with technology as well. So I'll restart this. This is our section 4 proposal content and format. So I'll just run through this quickly for everybody that didn't see it. Thank you. See, this is what I'm talking about. Active participation. I need to know because I can't be you. I'm on this end. So thank you, whoever said that. I appreciate it. So with your proposal content, we've got proposal
Honey, are you okay?
requirements.
Does
We
your tummy
have.
hurt? Thanks, Jen.
Can you mute? Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have our cover. Oh, it's all good. It happens all. It's like I said, technology. I didn't even know that I had you guys on a whole different page than that. So we in the proposal content and format, when we said provided in that order, it would be a lot easier if you did this, right? So if you just go to this section, if I was a brand new novice at proposals, I would just go to this section and say, how do I do this? So I would go proposal format and content requirements. I would go, next is I do my cover page. Table of contents, of course, to your proposal makes it easier to find. Your transmittal letter. You want to have your signature page and attestation of compliance with tax law. And of course, you'll read this, and the project manager and everything will be filled in a lot more than it is now because this is a blank template. You have your page limit, whether there's a page limit on it. Sometimes, you know, like I said, people ignore some of the tips that we give them, and you get 100 pages for something that could have took 20. And if you if you're an evaluator, you can just imagine that. So imagine how they're going to score it at the end when they've read 70 pages of nothing. So and then you want, you know, commitment to sustainability. We got our proposal submittal and addresses, which I just went over. With COVID, it'll be electronic. It'll be through our bid locker, so it'll be a lot easier. You're not going to send it to, you know, Portland, Maine by accident. So that makes it easier for somebody that might have missed that or whatever. And then we have our minimum requirements and substantive requirements if they're there. And so, of course, these will be what you're scored on: your knowledge and experience, your key personnel, your sub-consulting qualifications, project approach and understanding, your relevant experiences and references, and it'll break this down a lot more. And then what I represent, the Beaverton Equity Procurement Program. So if you look here, and I think that you can see everybody's face down there like I can. Let's try to move this out the way. Put it here. So if you got we got our Beaverton Equity Procurement Program. So the city would like to see 10% of COVID certified firms on our overall contract dollars. It's aspirational, and we're hoping to make that go up soon to 15%. So if you look around the region, you know, the city of Portland does 20, Multnomah County does 20. So this is not asking a lot, but it's what we require currently, and we expect you to put an effort out there, good faith effort. You have to contact, and it'll explain that further in your RFP. You have to contact 3 firms per division of work if they're available. And like we said, I don't know, it's not an excuse. You would reach out to me and I can help you find COVID firms. I've provided lists, and you can also go to the COVID website, which we provide later in this presentation, to find them. And of course, it'll go over your contract price and your additional services. We'll address section 5 here in a little bit after. We'll address section 5 here in a little bit after in the next section. So please stay tuned to that. And I'm going to share my screen again, or stop share. And then I'll go back to the presentation. Sorry about that. Boom. We'll have to just get back to the section. I don't know why Zoom is like that. So, and then we'll go. Previous, sorry about that. So then we went to proposal content. So the next slide that we'll do, and let me move this Zoom chat box out the way. Yeah, I don't know where to, is there a way to minimize it? Yeah, there we go. I'll just minimize it in general. So the number one tip is provide the information in the exact order as it is requested in the RFP. Once again, this creates an ease of finding information. Nothing will be missed. As I said, you know, nothing's worse than, you know, putting a line or two on something and putting it in, you know, 20 pages of something that's not needed, and having somebody read it and not exactly understanding where that goes, or it makes it seem like you have a misunderstanding of the project as well. It could create both of those misfortunes. Keep information. It also keeps information fresh and avoids extra non-value adding information. We only want the stuff that we ask for, the value adds. I'm sure that you have a great business. I'm sure that you take great photos, but that's not going to help you get the project. So please just provide the information that we're asking, and we will score it accordingly. And it presents a full understanding of the project. Once again, like I said, if you put something out of order, it may make it seem like you're not understanding it the same way that somebody else is. And the last but not least, the most important one, we put it in bold, bold, bold. You want to turn in your proposal on time. We do 2 p.m. If you turn it in at 2:01, your proposal, all that hard work that you put in will not matter anymore. So remember all this, but the number one thing to remember is to turn in your proposal on time. And so I gave 2 different examples. Below is our criteria for our informal RFP, but I'll also go through your formal RFP as well. So break this down, and I'm pretty sure I have to reshare my screen. Let's see. There we go. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now we'll go to that section. So here's our formal RFP, and it is rated a little bit different. Formal is, of course, based off our dollar threshold, and the dollar thresholds vary for our personal services, our engineering, our construction. These are all in our procurement rules on our website, but also that's for us to know, less for you to know, because when you get the proposal, you're going to see what you see. So attaches our proposal. And I'll explain a little bit how this works. So we went through the knowledge and experience, and they'll break that down a little bit more in the RFP. We went through our project and approach, understanding relevant experiences, Beaverton Equity Procurement Program, contract price. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this looks different than the last one. And of course, if you're thinking that, you're paying attention, and you're right. That's what we need. And that's because, you know, the maximum amount of points may be 100, but they do it off of weighing factors. For example, the weighing factor for the Beaverton Equity Procurement Program is always 3. So if you go look down here on your quality of responses, if you didn't do any response, you're getting a 0. So of course you'll get 0. Your maximum on the Beaverton Equity Procurement Program's 12 points, and I'll explain how that works. So if you give an excellent response, let's say somebody answered all the questions, I'd give them a 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So 4, 8, 12, their maximum points would be 12. If you see a different RFP, their weighing factor for knowledge and experience may be 4. So if you gave them a 4 on that, that'd be 16. Their maximum points will be 16. And so they'll give different weighing factors for how the project manager sees this project. Of course, it's RFP, so they'll put a little weight on. They'll put weight on price. They'll put weight on what they feel is important, and they'll weigh those factors on what they feel is important as a project manager. Of course, they have a knowledge of the project, and then the total maximum points will be out of that. So let's say you did the knowledge and the maximum points was 16, but we scored you a 3. Well, you'd only get 12 points for that section. So that's just kind of explaining how we break down our formal RFPs, and then I'll show you a little bit about our informal RFP. Well, in our informal RFPs, you'll see it at the bottom of the screen. So I'll go back to the PowerPoint. So for our informal, it'll look a little bit more like this, and they'll fill in their points here. So if you look at the bottom, we'll have experience and qualifications may be worth 20 points. And this is off an example from one of our previous RFPs. And then our project approach and understanding, and they'll break down how that gets scored in that section is 25 points. There's no weighing factor. So this is a little bit more black and white for that scoring. And so you can see how that applies here. So you basically want to provide the information in the order that it asks, look at those sections, and provide as much of that information as you can in your proposal. Construction ITBs. Construction ITB Success. So with our construction projects, we don't do RFPs, we do ITBs, invitation to bid, and that's based off price. Of course, you can't have nothing that's crazy in there. You can't be like, well, we have this, this, and this, but we have the lowest price. Of course, your bid would probably be unresponsive if you didn't have all the other stuff, but it's based off price. So you want to attend all pre-bid conferences, whether they're mandatory or not mandatory. Once again, you get important technical information. This is very important for construction projects. You never know, they might be telling you specs or things that you may want to know if you can even bid. What is your threshold? What do you need to know to be able to bid to this? And another thing is, once again, especially with ITBs, this is a meet and greet for potential subs. You get to express, they get to express needs, so you get to express your needs so they can contact you. Like I said, you might have a time finding COVID firms and things like that. However, if you attend the pre-bid, state your needs right in front of the whole community, and it's mandatory, you may get reached out to and never have to do no research for your COVID subs. For your COVID subs, make the job easier for yourself. Help us help you. You want to use the COVID and equity coordinator for sub help. That would be me. COVID firms are still expected to use COVID subs. And this is something that we can't stress enough. It's very important. PDBG and the Diversity Practitioner Summit from BD, I mentioned this the last 2 days. We've seen an influx of this. COVID firms, whether you're an ESB or things like that, oh, we've got 100% covered, so we're going to, sub out to some other people. Well, if you have 100% covered, maybe you had one time at been a sub and it's about building resumes and things like that. So we really expect our co-bid firms to go out and try to use co-bid subs if they're available. If you're an ESB, does that mean that you have women on your team? If you're an ESB, does that mean that you have minorities or disabled veterans on your team? Let's use each other and help each other get to the finish line. That's the very important thing about the co-bid community. We don't care about one subsection more than the other. Let's all help each other. You want to look for previous ITBs out there for price references and network to try to get the best prices. You can do that by going to a public records request, and below I'll go to our city link, which is showing our current bids and previous bids. So I'll go there, and then I'll probably have to stop sharing my. Can everybody see that, or do I have to share it? Are you still in the PowerPoint? Anybody?
You need to share it.
Okay, I have to share it. Sorry, Zoom is a little bit different than Teams. Let me do this, and then here we go. So if you go to our current bid page, so here's our current bid and proposal opportunities. If you go to our website, you'll have to register. You get on here. Below here is our current bids. We just had a couple pass. We have one coming up right now for street profiling on the 22nd. And then we have one coming up for the ADA curb ramp. But how you say, oh, none of these help me. How do I look at that? How do I find a previous bid to compare? Well, if you go to our current bid page, click previous bids, and now you can go here and you can see our previous bids. And this is where you might find something. Let's say you were looking for fountain park improvements. You're like, hey, how do I do this? Oh, there's one there. And you could just go through, I don't even know how far back this goes, but it has I think it just goes for the year or something. Maybe Terry might answer that question at the end if there is one. But this is how you can look at our previous bids to just compare and contrast, maybe do a public records request. Just make sure that you're on the ball. All the information is out there that you may need. You just have to want to find it. So let me get back to sharing my presentation. So the number one of the main things is you may not be the prime right then. You know, when I work for various companies, I've had companies call and do public record requests. We've applied. It's not, we're not ignoring you. You know, as an individual, I'm pretty sure you apply for a lot of jobs. But in the meantime, if I don't get a job at the city of Beaverton when I'm 20, do I just don't do anything and apply again at 25? No, the important thing is to get your foot in the door. If not a prime this time, be a sub and build your resume. You know, if I help on the city park fountain, I provide all the concrete for that and I do that, that's on my resume forever. So now when your company applies for a different bid and you say relevant experience, you can add that there because you're a sub. So build your resume. You know, sometimes you have to humble yourself. You might have done a bigger project, but you haven't done it for government agencies or, you know, education or nothing that we can compare it to. So please get your foot in the door. That's an importance of attending the pre-bid and looking at primes. You may not be the prime this time, but I've seen big primes be subs on projects and then become the prime on the next project. So keep that up. And the number one tip, assure you have everything in the bidder checklist on time and in order. We check if your bid is responsive and acceptable literally from this list. So next I'll just do a little preview of the bidder checklist. So here's an example, and I'm sorry if it's not the most clear, but the bidder checklist. This is an example of how we do what we check up. If you submit a bid, let's say it was due today at 2 p.m., we're literally going to go through this list and check if you have it all. So if you don't have it all, if it's not in order and you missed this, your bid will be non-responsive. So we have, you know, the bid form, the bid certification. We have the bid bond. We have the tentative construction schedule. And then due by 4 p.m. is your first tier subcontractor disclosure form. You have your, by 4 p.m., your good faith effort form 1. And then we have your current project information. So everything that's in this list above here is due by 2 p.m. except for these things that specify that you're due by 4. After that, by 4 p.m., you have to turn in your bidder responsibility form, and that would probably be for the parent low bidder. And then your current letter of approval for, well, not your apparent low bidder, because let's say that they didn't have something else or they couldn't turn that in, you probably want to do it if you're the runner-up as well. So you got your bidder responsibility form and your letter from ODOT. That's very important to get us by 4 p.m. or you'll be non-responsive. And then to be submitted by the parent low bidder who is chosen is your good faith effort form 2. That's your contact bids and received log for your co-bid firms plus your solicitation letter. And then to be submitted by the contractor only, and that's monthly. After you get chosen, we start the contract and you're doing all those things monthly. We have you turn in your monthly subcontractor payment and utilization form. So this is where when you turn in your form 2 and your form 1 and things like that, we'll see who you've declared as your subs. We'll see the amounts that you put in, and then when you turn in your form 3, we'll double check that amount that you said that you were going to do in the original bid versus what you're doing with the subs, and then we'll check that monthly. So let's say that you 6 months into the project you've used none. You may get an email saying, hey, you said that you used $100,000 in 12 months. We're 6 months into the project. Are you going to use $100,000 in 6 months, or are you supposed to be at 50,000 right now? So we'll contact you and create a positive relationship. Once again, this is not for negative purposes. This is to help me help you. Maybe you might not have noticed that. Maybe your forms aren't getting turned in correctly. So this is to double check and make sure that our program is going, and that we're abiding by the rules and not just saying rules that we don't abide by. Contract relationship management. So this is very important. Once you get the contract, this isn't the NBA. This is more like the NFL. the NBA, they get guaranteed money, sit, and don't have to play. The NFL, if you don't play, you don't pay. So this is the contract relationship management is more, once you get the contract, how do you assure a successful relationship within the contract and measure that your relationship going forward is positive for future opportunities? So for contract relationship management, if you have a timeline, please assure that your deliverables are on time. I know that we may have a couple project managers in here, maybe some people that have project experience. There's nothing worse than scope creep, especially for government agencies. A lot of times we have, fountains that we have dates that we're going to open with the public. We have buildings that the public is going to access, and or things that, or an area that we have to process important information or process improvements that may slow us down. Therefore, not only affecting the COVID community, but affecting the larger community in Beaverton as well. So we want to assure that our deliverables are on time when we're working with certain agencies, especially the city of Beaverton. The next thing that you want to do is you want to review your change order process. Review how change orders are turned in, review the turnaround times and things like that. Talk to your project managers. You want to be careful with your change order language. This is not a blame game. You got to think, if I'm a project manager or anybody, it doesn't even have anything to do with the city, would you sign anything that is extremely, blameful, like directive, making sure that you're liable when you're probably not liable in a situation? Now, I understand if we do something wrong, completely wrong, of course you're going to add that in there. But, there's times where we've just seen languages that is not reflective of teamwork and more directive of blame. And so we want to make sure this is not a blame game. We want to make sure that our change order language is directly what we need. You want to add things that are going to have an effect on the project. This is going to be a timeline extension. This is going to be a quantity extension. Things like that. Are you using a substitute? You originally said that you would use something that we required in the RFP, but there's an equal substitute. Again, you want to request that. These are all things that you want to add into your change order. We don't want to hear that, your dog ran past the material that was at the office and broke it. That has nothing to do with the change order. Give precise details, nothing more, nothing less. This eases the review process and honestly makes it so that we understand your request. And last but not least, you want to get to know your project manager and learn how they would like you to turn in your change orders. There might be a certain way that they want them turned in your language. So just get to know them. This is like I said, this is not a contract where you get signed by the Blazers and you may not never see the owner for a while, or the owner may pass away or something, and you may get a different owner or talk to just team management. Your project manager is going to be hands-on through the entire project. So you just want to get to know them. And also this helps with future working relationships. We have various things where we have a retainer list or things like that where they might outside of, that particular of a RFP or an ITP for a specific project, that may bother your relationship for the future. Contract relationship management, the number one key is communication. Communication is key. A consultant may be a good idea. Why? A consultant knows what they're doing. They may have been involved with various projects for years. They may have connects. They may have way of presenting things. They may have templates for presenting things to speed up a process and just give you an idea of what a professional in that field looks like. Like I said, you may be an expert in laying concrete. You may be an expert in your particular division of work, but are you an expert business person? So a consultant may be an idea. But if you do have a consultant, I'd say weekly / often communication with your project team. You don't want your consultant communicating with your project manager without any knowledge of what's being said, because something might be said that you don't agree with, or that you may have stated a different way. So you want to have weekly and often communication with your project team, and also understand what's being conveyed to your project managers, and when it was conveyed, so you can have a turnaround time. You want to think how the communication will be received. How would the project manager think of this if you say it this way versus that way? My mother used to tell me, and I'm sure a lot of our moms said this, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If I say give me or may I, it's two different things. So, and I'm not saying these are your parents, but respect is large in business and business relationship management. So you want to be open to constructive criticism. Once again, your project managers are experts in these fields. Your consultant may be an expert in this field, and they may say, hey, I wouldn't do that way, or I would do this way. And so you want to be open to constructive criticism that they give you, because a lot of times it's not breaking you down, but it's building you up. So remember that, and don't take anything personal. Of course, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So you don't want anybody talking to you just any type of way. And that's where, professionality is expected of everybody involved in a business relationship. And last, you want to have a consensus of the message before sending it out. So if you want one point of contact with approval from the top. So if your consultant is your one point of contact, you want to have a consensus of the message from the owner, from maybe the CFO, whoever you got in your company that's below you, to say, hey, this is what we want said and how we want said it. You are the point of contact, but maybe you approve your message before you send it out. You want to see it. Maybe you want to be a part of that conversation. So make sure that you have one point of contact with approval from the top and whoever that may be in the business. This is a big thing that came up on our projects recently, is nonprofits, COBID success. So for a few of our projects, we've had nonprofits contact us and they say, hey, we can't become COBID certified. And, they're a little upset about it. And they say, hey, can you amend the scoring criteria to where nonprofits can get that in? COBID from the state is not going to add nonprofits in, and we don't have that written into our procurement code, so we're not going to do that. However, what we want nonprofits to understand is that, and we think that they are forgetting our original goal is participation, not certification. Once again, our original goal is participation, not certification. So if you are a nonprofit, you can still participate. You could still have these COBID firms participate with you, and that'll get you the bulk of the points. If you look at our scoring criteria and some of our proposals, and we score those accordingly, we sit down with the project managers and the equity coordinators, and we look around the landscape and we try to say, hey, are we going to get a lot of nonprofits on here? And if not, we may lower the COBID score criteria for being certified to just 1 or 2 points. If that's 12 points and you get 10 points for the rest of the criteria, that means you'll get a 98 on the test. I think a 98 in most schools is still an A+. So like we said, understand it's participation, not certification. Understand that being a COBID firm is not an advantage. They say, oh, we feel like this is an advantage. Well, nonprofits have certain advantages, whether that be taxes, et cetera, that COBIDs don't have. So being a COBID firm is not certified. What's recently going on in the world, people say, well, there was affirmative action. I'm like, being Black is not an advantage. If we can live every day like everybody else and not have to think about those things, I'll take that than having than having to acknowledge them. So please know that COVID, for being a COVID firm, is not an advantage. And these are smaller firms and firms that are coming up that need help because of the disadvantages. You want to use these project as an opportunity to learn. If you're a nonprofit, you know, where did we not do certain things at? Did we miss points here? Did we miss points there? How can we, if it says explain COVID firms that we use in the last 12 months, and you have something small, you can even, you know, go use a flagging company, a painting company or something, say, oh, we use them for the last 12 months, and that can get you points in that section. You can also use me, the equity coordinator, as a resource if you're a nonprofit. Once again, I can help you find subs. I can help you, you know, find certain meetings where COVID firms are. Like I said, a lot of nonprofits, I haven't seen a lot of them in the COVID orgs like NAMAC, OWAMI, PBDG, and Latino Build. NAMAC, National Association for Minority Contractors, Oregon Association for Minority Enterprises, Portland Business Development Group. You can find all these on Google, and Latino Build, of course. You can find all these on Google. You can look these up, and these are all companies that help with COVID firms and diversity and things like that. So you might, you know, for this event, earlier today, I don't know how many of you were attending the PBDG meeting, but I made an announcement of our event. They'll help you promote your events. They'll help you promote your projects. You can get a hold of these companies and get on their agenda. As many of you know, if you've seen me earlier, I was on the agendas for pretty much all of these this week, promoting this event. So please get out there, let it be known. Go get help and make sure that you can get all the points, get most of the points that you can in the COVID section. And you want to go to over the COVID site and review companies. Like I said, there's various needs for nonprofits that you can get covered. And if you take all these steps as a nonprofit, you'll never have to contact me and say, hey, can you amend the COVID points? Because you'll get 98% of the points. And once again, the previous step will make COVID criteria easy while also helping the community. This is what the BEPP is all about. So like I said, if you take the previous steps, it'll help all the COVID companies. And then if you look at the scoring here, it'll help the community and it'll also help you get the scoring. The first one is your points certified. And like I said, this number is high. For this particular project, there was not a high number of COVID firms nonprofits that were applying, so this one was 4 points, but we'll amend this to 2 a lot of times, and then the other points will carry out through here. So provide a narrative description of your firm's experience, any innovative or successful measure promoting COVID certified enterprises as partners, subcontractors, or suppliers on previous projects. This doesn't say the year. You could have did this a few years ago and got this point. Provide a list of percentages of total contract dollars spent with COVID certified enterprises which the proposal firm has a contractual relationship with in the last 12 months. So if you missed it on this project and you're a nonprofit, you said, damn, I missed, 8 points and that made a difference, which it usually doesn't for certain things. Like if you missed a few points, a lot of times the winners of these projects are clear far head and shoulders above in certain areas. But, you can go back on the next one and get all those points. If you do what I said, just go to the COVID website, contact me, and use them for things that we know you will need. And then describe action proposal will take to include COVID certified enterprises participation on this project of subcontractors identified in 4.313. So now you could say, hey, we're going to attend NAMAC, we're going to attend PBDG, we're going to go to the COVID website. You can get those points with just explaining and thinking. And then state your participation goal for this project. So if you went to the COVID website, you described your actions at certified COVID firms. You used somebody in the last 12 months. You provided a description. And for this project, you actually reached out to me and said, hey, Rob, something. And I provided you with a company. And you're making the 10%. You're going to get 2, 3, 4, and 5 of these scoring points. No excuses to not have those. A lot of times we see companies just completely try to skip this step. And that could hurt you a lot, because if you get 80% of the points, that can help. But if you get 0 of the points because you skipped the section, that's starting you off at an 88. So anybody that goes to school here, that's a B off top. So if you get any other things wrong on there, now you're at an 80, now you're at a 75. Pretty soon, somebody that just took their time and filled out the complete proposal, as we said earlier in this presentation, is going to be head and shoulders above you. So like we said, make sure that you do your due diligence and you get all the points that you deserve. So now we're going to go into our upcoming projects, and please forgive me, some of these are actively going. These are just the end of the quarter as our financial year ends on June 30th. So and once again, before we get into these projects, please, at the end, we are not the project managers, so they'll have all the technical specs and things like that. This is simply for you to have a heads up of the projects that we have going for the city of Beaverton. So you could say, hey, pretty soon we're going to have this, or hey, maybe I want to apply to that, or here's something that here's even a project that I may want to review, for an upcoming project, and do a public records request. So for CDD as Beaverton Quiet Zones, the Downtown Design Standards and Assistance, we have the Tree Code Research and Analysis, and Develop Fee Study. So as you can see, you see all the prices to the right. I'm not going to go into all that because they're right there on the screen. For BURA, Beaverton Urban Redevelopment Agency, which this is not the city, this is a separate agency, but it's basically we work with the city, so these will be projects that you will see on our website as well. So you will see the Beaverton Central Parking Garage and equipment. We have a data collections project. We have the real estate acquisition due diligence, professional service, relocation assistant, and demolition / fencing as needed project. A&I Phase 2, and then we have the pre-development design grants. And once again, if you go to our website, you can see all of our current bids and things like that. Please keep an eye on it. If you see it and it looks like it's in the future, keep an eye on it as well, because it'll be coming up. Community service and engagement. We have the night market and the celebration parade, which the night market is in August, and then we have the celebration parade coming up in September. So those should be coming up, hopefully bearing with COVID. For police, we have our public records software ISD project. We have our training tracking software, and we have our officer background program. For the library, we have renovations to expand Friends retail presence inside the main library. And so for this slide here, I just wanted to provide everybody with our COVID compliance specialist, Jason Bricker. One thing that I've heard, responding to the COVID community, and I know because I've been on the outside looking in that before I had contacts, is you can go to the COVID page and call them all day. It'll be hard to find them. It'll be hard to get a hold of them. You can try to shoot an email. I've left voicemails and et cetera, and never got a call back until I reached out to these people. So if you have a specific question, please reach out to Jason. If you want to apply, you can apply on the website. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. But if you have a specific question, this can help you. So for our resources, my email's on the screen. It's rlow@beavertonoregon.gov. I will also add that into the chat when I'm done presenting this. Please go to our City of Beaverton Finance site. You can see our bids there. You can look at our procurement rules. You can access the Beaverton Equity Procurement Program there. You can see the history of the program for the Equity Procurement Program and see some of the staff, et cetera. Also on our Equity Procurement Program, you'll see our upcoming events, and we'll add the recording of this event to that. So please stay tuned with that. And then we also have the COVID website. You want to go there to check out COVID firms. You can put that in Google. It'll come up easily, or go to this website, www.oregonforbiz.com, and then you'll navigate from there. So now I'll stop sharing and let everybody know. My boss, Terry Marwalt, will help answer questions. It looks like we got quite a few questions in the chat. I don't see it, but if anybody has any questions, please unmute, ask questions, and me and Terry will address them if anybody has any. And I'm gonna
Hey, Rob. Jason Barnes with 360 Project Management.
how's it going?
Good. Hey, so your presentation addressed specifically construction subs, and we are more in professional services. And what we find is, not just in Beaverton, but throughout, the RFPs are often asking for experience in that specific market. So for example, if you guys were doing a library, you would say, tell us the last 3 libraries you built. And if you haven't, tell us some other public service building you've done. So as a small COBID firm, we don't have public experience, quite frankly. And a group like Wenihana, who I'm picking on just because I know they're here, is not interested or motivated to sub me out to grow my portfolio, right, as a direct competitor to them. So how do we work around that to try to be more competitive? As you know, we are COBID, we are small firms trying to gain this experience.
Well, the number one thing is you attend the pre-bid meetings, I would say, because even if they're chosen as a prime, we have an aspirational goal with, you know, certain COBID firms. So they're going to have to use somebody in your sector for sure. As far as the competition aspect, I don't know if you would be competition on that project. Are you firms similar? I'm not familiar. Are you similar size?
I'm saying that's like owner's rep service.
Okay. Yeah. So Terry, do you want to help out with this one a little bit? I think, yeah, she might have a better answer than I do.
Some of it, we just encourage networking. I know when we started developing the program and had contact with contractors, it was just what kept coming out was the networking between the primes and the COBIDs, because the primes, like you say, they don't want to hire somebody that maybe they're not familiar with, or they don't know the kind of work that you do. And so it was our goal to try and have some networking events where we connect primes and sub contractors or co-bid firms that could be subs together, so the companies can learn about each other. So the primes can get familiar with the kind of work you do, so they would be willing to connect with you to bring you on as a sub underneath in that project. Does that answer any of the question?
I don't think that's a direct correlation. No.
Okay.
If we were talking about like a general contractor, a prime like Skanska, and somebody wanting to pour concrete for them, yes, I get that correlation 100%. But I've put in bids with Plan B, Day CPM, right? These guys, they are direct competition to me. I've sat down with some of them and said, hey, can I help you out with this? Or do you need an extra person? They don't want to train me to go after city work, government work, right? They're not motivated. That's their specialty. They don't want to, there's just no reason for them to, right? So that's where we're quite frankly flustered and frustrated that these RFPs require specific government experience. We've built buildings, we've done data centers, high-tech clean rooms, right? We are very well versed in owner's rep to get your construction projects done on your behalf. We just haven't done it for the government. And that has been a absolute dead stop. I did 2 new buildings right across the street from City Hall where they were wanting to replace buildings. And they said, we saw you build those buildings. You don't have government experience. We're not going to hire you because we don't want to train you. And that language is in all these RFPs, and it's quite frankly just discouraging.
Well, so then that tells us that as a government agency, maybe we need to be more open with our requirement of maybe more the type of work, not necessarily that you've done it for government, but that you've done similar work. So I appreciate your input, and I think a lot of it then is just informing us of that issue, so we can make some adjustments in our requirements that would open it up to allow you to submit.
Jason, can you please send me an email on this so I have it? This reminds me of the nonprofit, question we kept getting presented, and we won't know if don't present that to us. So maybe that might be something that we may need to work on in solicitation, maybe, work on just some of the language, because I completely get what you're saying. If you've done a tree study and you haven't done it for, the government, does that change trees? So
Exactly.
I completely get what you're saying. Please send us an email, because this is something that we really want to look at. And this is the type of stuff that's important to us. And I want everybody in here to know, all 60 participants, that if there's something like this that is a barrier to entry for you. Nobody will understand the COVID firms except other COVID firms and people that are working with you that you can express that to. So this is very important. Thank you, Jason. Please shoot me an email, arlo@beavertonorgan.gov. We will save that, and we will look at how to address that, especially at our next COVID outreach event and in future projects.
All right, I appreciate it.
Can I jump in? My name is Clarence Thompson. I'm with Kalos Ergon Engineering, LLC. I do electrical engineering. And I have noticed with the COVID outreach, some of the RFPs for engineering services involve multiple disciplines for various projects instead of something that's more discipline specific. And as an emerging small business, I don't have structural or mechanical engineers on staff. So that sort of puts me out of the running for projects that have electrical or instrumentation work, or that is design work. Another thing that's mildly humorous sometimes and mildly frustrating sometimes is that I get phone calls from people saying, "Oh, you're a COVID firm. Can you go install some lights for us?" So I think people are confused when they see engineering firms listed as COVID certified, that they think that we also swing hammers, and we don't.
Yeah. So first of all, the assumption that is something that we that's just out of this world. But as far as, this is the reason why, attending the pre-business things are important, because you might have a company that you may want to team with that does those things, right? It's about outsourcing the things that you don't have in-house, but doing it in a manner that'll make the project successful for certain things like that. So I do understand that you may not have those certain capabilities, but somebody else may have it. And unless it's a CMGC or something where you're actually choosing an outside architect, that might make it a little bit difficult, right? So yeah, I'd say probably team up with the things that you don't have, probably would be the best answer to that. Terry, do you have anything that you would like to add to that? She's still around, I'm not sure. Maybe she got knocked off the call. Oh, no, she's there. But yeah, so I think that's what I would provide out, unless she wants to add anything else. Terry, do you have anything that you want to add?
No, Clarence, are you talking about when you're trying to submit as a prime, or you're doing it as a subcontractor?
In many cases, it says a prime, because once these RFPs hit open, they're a fair game for everybody. And so the largest fish swim to the food fastest. And if I try to win these projects as a sub, I've got to spend 2 or 3 weeks, or perhaps longer, trying all of a sudden to build a relationship with the major players.
Well, I
And
think
so,
submitting then as a prime, if you were to submit as a prime, then you would just want to partner, or, get other subs to work with you that would do the work that you don't specialize in. So you'd create a team, but you would be the prime to submit the response, the proposal.
I'm gonna
okay.
address something in the chat. So somebody says a higher aspirational goal would help. We are currently working on actually adding a higher aspirational goal. However, you must understand that we are a government agency. We are not Robert Incorporated, to where I can go, you know what? 20% sounds good. So we have a whole process that we have to bring it to city council and get it voted upon and things like that. So we are working on that. For Heather, she says, are DEI firms considered COVID firms? you have to go to the COVID website and get COVID certified to become a COVID firm. There's plenty of diversity, equity, inclusion firms that may not have went there to the website and done that. So you have to go there, and they have the qualifications on the website to be a COVID firm. So please go on there and look at it and apply. And once again, refer to Jason if you have any questions, Jason Bricker. And this recording will be on our website just in case you have any questions in that aspect. And then he says, what kind of insurance does a sub need? Well, that depends on the project and what you're working with. And we've had in the past, somebody asked, may a requirement get lowered or something like that. Once again, use your mouth, use your skills to ask what you may need. We're not saying that is going to be guaranteed, but we can always pass requests past our legal department. And if that works, then we might be able to, help that out.
Well, and I think too, as far as the insurance we require is all from the prime. If you're a sub underneath the prime, that it would depend on what the prime is asking of you for insurance. But the insurance certificates we get would be from the prime. We wouldn't ask for both.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. Is there anybody else that has any more questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I kind of joined in late, so I have no idea what preceded me, but is there a way the city can supply us with a list of all the primes that have won projects, have won RFPs at the city, so we can have a good idea of who normally, gets the projects and gets the awards, and so we can kind of lobby with them, because that helps.
So if you go to our current bid website, you can go to our previous bids, and there they will you'll be able to look at who actually won the bids there. I'm not sure if we have a comprehensive list of all of our primes that have won bids. I don't think we have anything like that. I haven't seen that, but you can go to our previous bid website and look at who won bids, and that can give you an idea. I mean, you can probably just go through the last year that I said, that's like 2 pages, and then you can just go through there and click and see who won. And then if you do that, then you can probably see a repetitive nature. A good thing would be to go to our website. I would go to, the city of Portland, just go to different websites, and you can see repeat companies, repeat success, and things like that. So there's ways to look for correlation with looking at our website as well as others with bid winners. So
you know what? I'm talking about myself in particular.
Mhm.
I'm not interested in construction projects.
Okay.
I'm interested in professional service. We are civil engineers.
Yeah.
And so I think it's incumbent upon you to, at least for the past year or two RFPs, who won the projects there. When I was at the city, I think, Terry, you can remember me, when I was there with David Winship in the 80s, late 80s. Gerald Williams, every RFP, David Evans and all the other big engineering firms that won. I mean, the city knows who they are.
Yes.
You can make a list and say, okay, here are the big engineering firms that won all the RFPs over here at the city of Beaverton. Go lobby with them. You can provide us with that list. I'm not interested in a construction, who won a construction projects, whatever. All your in-house, all your RFPs that be now all the design projects, I want to know who won them.
Okay.
It's easy it helps us.
Okay.
Instead of us doing the research to find out,
Okay.
I can call David Winship or what's his name? I think he retired. Jim Duggan. All these guys. When I was there in 1980, 87, 86, they were all there. I mean, they can provide all that. But if you really want to make a good faith effort to help us, the small businesses, I think you can put a little pamphlet out there and tell us, who won this project, who won that, so we can latch on to them as SOPs.
So another good way, as MacPro 2012 said, is Orpin's about to go out, but it's about to turn to Oregon buys. But if you're currently on Orpin, you can go on there and see who won them and who currently holds them. And that's all the ones that for the state that would be in that are any agency like ours that would be in that system. I think Oregon Buys is going to do the similar thing, and that's opening around June 30th. So there is government websites where you can look at not only ours, but all of them at the same time. I'm not sure. Are you a member of ORPN, Edmund?
Yes, I am. It's all Open does is just sends you a notification of what the state projects, what all the RFPs are.
Yeah, I think you can
But
go.
I don't think you're getting what I'm trying to point out here.
I'm understanding, and if you put your email in the contact in the chat box, I can send you our engineering retainer list. That would be,
Bingo, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's exactly what we're looking for.
okay.
Cool. That
Okay.
works. Yeah,
say, Rob, you're going through the chat to find questions. I don't know if you can see the hands raised. There's lots of hands raised that people want to ask questions.
Yeah,
So-
I cannot see them, and I saw that comment. I was going to ask Rob if he could see them.
I see the participants. I see all the comments.
Yeah, because there are people that were waiting, they've been waiting for a long time with their hands raised,
Let
but
me,
they can't get acknowledged.
sorry, I don't.
Are you seeing them, Rob?
I don't see where to see them at. I see all the comments. I don't see the,
If you click on participants,
okay.
In the participant list, the people with their hands raised are at the top.
Okay,
Ah,
so Donald Rood is the first one that I see.
yes.
Hi, actually, thank you for asking me to share, but I just wrote an email that follows up on Mr. Barnes' question with some specificity, and I'm about ready to hit go on that. So you'll get my email and then allow other people a chance to talk and ask questions. So thank
Okay.
you very much.
About that, I see them all now. And then Riley Pittenger.
Hey, Robert, how you doing? Hi, Terry.
Hi.
You guys are with this, like I said, participation is usually on Teams. So this Zoom thing, when you raise your hand, it didn't give me anything. I just have to scroll to the top to see them.
It's all good. We're here now. So I just wanted to touch base on, you pointed out that reaching out to the city of Beaverton was beneficial when an RFP is released. And I just want to ask a question in relation to reaching out to clients as well. I know in some industries, it's not beneficial to reach out with them because they have specific question windows and for specific mechanisms for asking questions. And I just wanted to double check that the city of Beaverton appreciates that. And I know that that's not universally accepted for asking questions is to just call. It's generally more formal than that in some situations.
Yeah, so
Typically in the RFP, it will list me as the main contact person to send questions to. We try and filter them all through one person because then we create a frequently asked question and answers, and we'll post that as an addendum so everyone gets the same information. Or I can direct you, directly to the project manager. Just depends on what the question is.
yeah, and if it's something that probably has a direct impact on the project, it'll probably be answered in an addendum or something to where everybody else can see it. So it just depends on the technicality of it or the timing of it as well. So
Excellent. Thank you.
no problem. And so that was Riley. Now we have Sean Peters or Sean Peters.
Yeah, Sean Peters.
Sean, all right, cool.
Yeah. So my question is, I've seen some of the RFPs being put out by the city of Beaverton. Mostly civil work, construction stuff, environmental stuff. I don't really see, I'm a network engineer, it's my occupation. So I don't really see a lot of technical stuff, so I'm not really sure if I'm actually supposed to be here or, correct me if I'm wrong, if I believe the city do use this technology, right?
Yeah, we do all the, we have a lot, we have quite a few engineering projects, actually said we have an engineering retainer list and things like that. So you may not be in the window particularly for that, but we do it based off needs. So we have all of the above. I'd just say keep an eye out and probably shoot me your information, because if we have something to where I might say, hey, project manager, I have a COVID firm that does this. So it's always important to, shoot an email and get your face out there. So yeah, please shoot us an email and let us know your capabilities. So if we see anything that matches that, we'll be able to contact you directly.
All right, thank you. We'll do.
And then we have GJW Biz Gregory Woolley.
Oh, okay. I don't know. There might have been a couple folks before me, but anyway, I used to do similar work for a decade with City of Portland. So I'm sitting here squirming in my seat because the more things change, the more they stay the same, it seems. But I'm in my work was specifically for supporting professional services firms, and I was able to do that full time. And so just one of the strategies, well, there were a few, but kind of my pitch really was that there are for instance, engineering projects that are small, that you don't need to have CH2M Hill and these big firms bidding on those. They should step aside. I mean, a small firm, engineering firm with 5 or 6 main employees, I mean, $50,000 project, you get enough of those going, that's pretty good. That's kind of bread and butter, for a small firm. But they get out competed by these big firms that have been in business 50, 60 years, and they have a arm's long length list of the same projects, that they've done over time. And it's like a couple of people have said, city governments often, they just go to them automatically. And so a lot of it is just persuading, talking to their project managers and saying, hey, you don't really have to bid on these sizes of projects, because you're, a global company. You have multi-million-dollar projects around the world. But see, they have a marketing team. And so they can just rifle out these proposals, without any sweat at all. Where a small firm, it's a lot of work. Proportionally, it's a lot of work for the number of employees that they have. And that go, no-go question of whether to go for a project, it's a much bigger question. And they just have to pass on things often. And so, and then the professional services firms that want to just work on projects up to certain sizes, because they're building, they end up with the same insurance requirements, and so they need to have general, general and professional liability insurance, and often upfront. And maybe Beaverton doesn't require that, but Portland did. And that's an, when there isn't a surplus of cash, that can be difficult when they don't even know if they're going to get the project yet, but then the insurance requirement comes up. So, and then just one other comment. I mean, one thing we did, and it started out with just up to 5,000. And the last I knew, and I left in 2017, there was direct contracting up to $50,000 and for certified firms. And so that was helpful to be able to hire directly without competition. And then there were, large projects that, we could break up into, not to exceed $100,000, over say a 3-year period of time with, breaking down the different specialty areas, and then have firms, with a focus on certified firms, propose on those without, for those, not a guarantee of work, because, it's kind of an as needed, or if the work comes up, but that was, one way to do it. So, I'm not as familiar with Beaverton's procurement processes. I'm just learning about that. But I mean, those are things that did help the smaller professional services firms, because, I'm hearing from the professional services firms that, there isn't often a lot of focus on them. Construction is, kind of the big ticket thing a lot of the time. But, they need some advocacy too. I mean, they need people that can specifically focus on what their needs are. And I know there's capacity issues with staffing, with any city. But anyway, those are just some things I'm hearing, as we go along. And, hoping that Beaverton is taking some of those things in consideration.
I'll say this, and that's important. Like you said, it's staffing. So Terry has been here for a while. We had the full finance department, and then they were running the Beaverton Equity Procurement Program. We've always had direct appointment. We still have direct appointment under a certain dollar threshold. It depends on the engineering, professional service. Once again, those are in our procurement rules. But we still have direct appointments. And before I was here, we've always encouraged them to use COVID firms, but humans are a creature of habit. So we have, project managers that are used to working with this firm or know of this firm. So they're like, hey, we wanted to work with this firm. But now that I'm here, we actually have a button on it and we can say, hey, not only do we encourage it, did you look at any, COVID firms? Can I offer you any COVID firms? So we highly encourage them to direct appoint from COVID firms, and we help them find COVID firms. I've been here since last February. So over a year now. A little over a year, and then COVID hit. So you can expect that to be a part of our practices. And then that's the beauty of the engineering retainer list. If you're a large firm and you're on the retainer list, and you're a small firm and you're on the retainer list, and we use one of the firms in February, the beautiful thing about the retainer list and the process that we're working in now is we're trying to assure you're not on there for no reason. If there's 5 firms and a certain amount of time goes by and you've never been chosen, we're trying to work on a process where at least we choose a finite number of firms, and each one of those gets used throughout that timeline, right? So it's like if it's a 5-year project and you're the largest company, you get used this time, then we're going to use another one next time. But overall, we encourage them to look at that list and pick the ones that are COVID certified. So the list that Terry's sending out later is going to be our engineering retainer list, and you'll see COVID firms on there, and those firms will be encouraged to be looked at first, and we have direct conversations with our project managers when we don't see that. So we're working on it, but once again, it's like we said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's respect for your profession and others as well. I'm not their boss, so I kind of got to work with them and get it going to where they're going. And if any of you know anything about project managers, they know what they know and they're positive about what they know. So it's about just trying to work around that and making sure that we encourage them to choose direct appointment and assure that those COVID firms are available. So that is something that we are addressing. And now that we have an equity coordinator here who I am, we will assure that it's not missed. We appreciate that point of emphasis, and please tune in with us and look out for opportunities when our next engineer and retainer list comes out. And please shoot me an email with your capabilities and things like that. So when we do have a direct appointment, you won't be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, and I'm not personally an engineer, but a lot of it, like you say, it's not easy.
Yeah,
is persuading project managers to give these firms an opportunity and kind of pitching them, promoting them, because you have the opportunity to get to know them and know what their capabilities are.
exactly.
So you can be an advocate.
Yeah, exactly. And more than an advocate, we're not asking, like we said, we're not asking for a handout, we're asking for a hand up. You guys have your talents and your capabilities. You're not less talented than anybody else. And if you look at all these major firms, they got help somewhere in the gist of it too. I mean, if you look at a lot of these major firms, they got PPE bailouts. They got a lot of these things bailouts. They got handouts, hand ups from a lot of companies and a lot of different things. So we're not going to call it a handout when COVID companies need it as well. You just need that. You just need some way to get past the barrier of entry, just like it's been historically for certain disadvantaged groups. So we appreciate that, and we do see your hand.
Well, yeah, keep up the good work, Rob.
Thank you. And then the next one that we have, and we got a few more, so we're gonna go through these pretty quickly. We got Wazi Khan.
Hi, are you guys able to hear me okay?
How's it going, Wazi? I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. We are a professional services company, and we do technology consulting work, and we have built some software platform. What I wanted to ask is, we have talked about responding to an RFP. What about the other scenario where you have a product or service and you feel that is going to add, it's a value addition and it is going to be helpful to the city? How do we present that to the city?
Can you repeat the last part of the question? You said RFP, and what do we do when you have something service? I couldn't really hear you.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask is, one option is, like you said, if there is an RFP, we respond to that RFP. My question is, if you have a product and service and you feel that it will be helpful to the city, how do we present that?
Well, you can shoot me an email, like I said, and let us know your capabilities. And if we have something, let's say, for instance, we get reached out for, not saying do this because we've been flooded with this. But since COVID has happened, we have gotten PPE. Hey man, personal PPE. So it's like if you email us something and we have a need, and Terry is our purchasing manager or director, and we have a need for something, then we're gonna know your capabilities. So I would say shoot us an email. It's not like we're gonna be building an art building and you'd be like, hey, well, we build this type of buildings now. We're like, oh, we need 2 buildings. I don't think that's going to happen. Or we need another capability. I don't think that's going to happen. But if there is a need for it and you're not out of sight, out of mind, that's the beauty of attending these meetings like this, is because you won't be out of sight, out of mind. So please shoot us an email. Please attend these meetings, and please look at our future projects on our bid page for those opportunities, because a lot of times COVID companies miss them. And that was what was important to us during this whole forming of this program. Is you can say that you want to help COVID companies, but are you where they are? Are you where COVID companies are? If I say I want to help, I can stick to my culture. If I say I want to help Black people, but I'm working in Southwest Portland, strictly downtown, am I ever going to see Black people? Probably never, right? So it's about being where they are and being where the need is. So please shoot us an email, and please stay tuned for our next meetings. We appreciate you attending this, and we'll make sure that, if there is a need for the service that you have, that we are, like I said earlier, we are encouraging to choose COVID firms first, if not putting COVID firms in front of their face. So please let us know your capabilities.
Yeah,
Great,
and
thank you
just
so much.
to add to that, what I do, I get emails a lot from vendors saying, hey, I do this kind of work. Do you have any work for me? What I try and do is connect you to the end user and that department that goes out and uses that kind of service. So I do try and put, the vendors in direct contact with an end user that is the person that would, need those kind of services or products. So like Rob said, if you would send him or myself an email, we'll try to connect you to the right staff person.
Thank you. Terry, can I get your email as well?
Yep,
Yeah, it is in the chat. I'll put it in again. Sure.
Now.
Thank you.
Got you.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you. And then we got, sorry, I'm putting this in real quick, Team Maralt at beavertonoregon.gov. And then we have 3 more questions, so we're going to address those, and then we'll be done. So we got Stephanie Egger.
Yes, sir. Stephen Eager. Yes, I'm again with professional services. I think a lot of stuff that you guys have been addressing so far has really been nailing things down. I think we've been doing this 5 years, probably certified for about 5 years now, and very rare do we get it to where, hey, COVID certified. Oh, you're in, definitely. We just don't see it, and it's been a long time now, So even to the point of actually making it onto the list, the geotechnical on-call for Beaverton. Yeah, we've seen 0 work.
You're on the Central Geo. I recognize you. You're on the engineering retainer list, correct?
We are.
Yeah. So we're
also the only COVID certified one on the list too. So we're like, okay, so
we see you, and we have when we've seen engineering work, we haven't seen a lot of it. That's the problem right now. But please know that we see you. You're in our mind and on our list. So whenever.
And Stephen, what I can do is contact Sheila Sahu. She's the project manager of that list, and she might know whether they have any work coming up that's real specific to the type of work that you do. It might be that we just have not had any work in that area.
it's very possible. From talking to the other groups that we're friends with on there, they're like, yeah, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We don't see a lot coming from City of Beaverton. And one of the other things was that the geotech a lot of times goes through the architects or through the civil groups. And that's where I kind of say, oh, no, you guys want geotech to be under your umbrella. You want geotech represented the ownership of the project. So yeah. I'll tell you what, a lot has changed for us in the 2 years that we got put on there. So what we'll do, we're going to send something out to you, just update you on some of the projects and what we've been doing. And yeah, we're probably 4 times bigger than we were when we got that 2 years ago, and just continue up and up. But yeah, we'll send some stuff out to you. But I really appreciate the presentation, guys. Good to see a lot of people that I recognize too. So
Definitely, this is a breath of fresh air during the COVID era, and we know Central Geo, so we'll reach out directly to the project manager, and that's for anybody else. Please shoot us an email, and we'll get it directly to the project manager. So, like I said, when they have that work, which we will, that's Stephen knows right now, or Stephen, right? Stephen.
that's right. Yep. Thank you.
As Stephen knows right now, if it's not available, it's just not available at that time. But what you can do is what he's doing. So now, next time it is available, guess who's going to be on in the forefront of our mind? So you make yourself available in that aspect and shoot us the information so we can get into our project managers and remind them, hey, we're not invisible. We are a community that is pushing for that, and we want to be heard. So thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next one is Helen Ebby.
Evie.
Evie.
Yeah. So yes, I'm a certified translator and interpreter, and I went through the Department of Administrative Services approval process. And so I just wanted to know, I mean, I think a lot of what you're talking about when you're talking about equity and inclusion is reaching out to the Hispanic community. And that's kind of where I can do things for you, or for anybody who's working like in the parks, making signs. I've seen signs that are wrong, and a bad sign is a problem. But again, it's a type of professional service. And I think it can support everybody. I'm also a Spanish editor, and I teach Spanish writing and translation and interpreting. So there's a variety of things that I can do, and I just wanted to
Put that out there.
check.
Please shoot us an email. I'm not, well, maybe Terry might be a little, I haven't seen this. Maybe I know that we have a lot of native Spanish speakers and people that do that for us already, whether it be with our customer service and things like that. So I'm not sure if they provide that, but you can shoot us your information. And once again, if we see something, we'll put it to you as well. I think that.
Yeah, I'd like to have a conversation with you about that, because one of the things with a lot of the people is you just need training in how to write better. I don't expect that anybody would do all your translations. You would have your local people doing some of the writing, but improving writing skills and knowing what the standards are is an important thing, just like it is in English.
Yeah, definitely. So please shoot us your capabilities, and we appreciate you. And then we got Alan.
Oh, all right, thanks. Yeah, I just had to unmute myself, but yeah, so I'm more of a construction contractor, and there has been some small bids that you guys have sent out. However, I happen to be a union contractor, so those wage rates tend to be the BOLI or the prevailing wage. And the way I understand it is that the contracts that you put out are under a threshold to where it's not prevailing wage, and that makes it very difficult to compete, because I bid, and when I compare the prices, there's no way that they could be using anything close to prevailing wage. And so I don't know if there's anything that could be done about that, but that's one thing that I've come across. And so I don't know if anybody can speak to that particular point.
Terry, did you want to elaborate on that one? I know that we use, for me personally, I mean, I'm a little new here, but I know that we use prevailing wage on projects where it applies. Terry, did you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so Alan, could you tell me again what kind of work you do?
Oh, so I'm like a civil contractor. So I would do like, grading, excavation, but some of the stuff that I was looking at in particular was like, it's kind of like a cross between professional services and contracting. It was potholing. So I would, core the asphalt pavement and hydro excavate down to expose the utility. And then I would survey it in and then put that on a map and send it to you guys. So that's the one that I'm talking about in particular, but I have looked at some other things, and when it's under that certain threshold. So yeah, it just makes it difficult, you know. So it's like, yeah, you want to give small business an opportunity, but then those of us, like I happen to be in a union myself, a journeyman, and so it just makes it difficult if everybody's not apples to apples when it comes to the wages. Because I mean, you can only imagine if there's no requirement, you can only imagine what they're paying people. So it just makes it very difficult if you guys have no way to audit that. And it makes it difficult. A lot of heavy civil contractors are, you know, union, and typically I might be working on ODOT stuff, but you know, where it's not an issue. But so I don't know. That's just maybe something, it maybe doesn't have to be answered today, but that's definitely an issue that I have at a small business located right here in Beaverton. I struggle with that because, you know, it costs money to bid stuff. And then when you know that you have no clue what people are going to use for wage rates on taxpayer dollars, that makes it tough. You know, are they paying people a living wage? You know, it just makes it very, and it's taxpayer dollars. It's not like, and I guess there's the BOLI requirements, I get it, but at the same time, it just makes it very difficult to compete.
Yeah, I appreciate that information. I know that we do stick to the BOLI requirements, so anything greater than 50,000 has to be prevailing wage. So if it's a smaller project under 50,000, then, you know, prevailing wage is not required, but the kind of firms that are submitting, you know, if they all are union, then I would think they would all be submitting the same. But if, you know, you're getting a mixture, you're correct, then some are, you know, submitting quotes using prevailing wage and some are not. So I appreciate your input.
Yeah. And I can just give just like a real quick example. And I just had one more thing to say. I don't want to keep everybody all night, but so when I restored the potholes, and it's right in front of City Hall, if you look at the way that I restored it compared to the people that were just bidding it low, it's already sunk. And if you hit that with your tire, you know, it's a pothole, it's a bump. It shouldn't be that way. And so that's what happens with taxpayer dollars when potentially you open the door for substandard labor, substandard material, substandard equipment if you don't have these requirements. And it's just something to think about. And you could walk right outside of City Hall, and I'll be willing to meet with you and show you the potholes that I restored versus the ones that somebody else did that I heard issues about them.
So Alan, if you could send me an email with your contact, I can put you in direct contact with the project manager, because we currently have out the street profiling work and the potholing. I can put you in contact with that project manager where you can show him that so he can address that.
Okay, all right. And then like the last thing I wanted to bring up is that sometimes if you guys have the ability to use design build contracts or CMGC contracts, construction management general contractor, those types of contracts lend themselves for diversity and engaging small business. Prior to starting my own small business, I worked for companies that worked on a couple of $1 billion design build jobs, and somehow, you know, I got involved with helping out some of the smaller contractors, and there was a lot of flexibility there. So I don't know if you guys have that at your disposal or if there's any thresholds for that, but I do know that like mentor protege programs come out of that. Small works programs come out of that. On calls that work come out of that. So anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there if that's something that's even possible.
Yeah, and I think at this time, at least the years that I've been here at the city, we've done a few CMGC projects, but I'm not sure that we've done a design build, and it's mainly the CMGC projects that we have done are the really large projects like the Public Safety Center and the Patricia Reese Center and the new parking garage that they're currently working on. So they've been very large projects that we have used that for.
Okay, yeah, and if it comes up again, it'd be good because those are ones where you can get early on in the design phase and the owner's controller design phase.
Right.
And you can break up packages to be smaller and targeted towards, the small business community that you have. And then also the contractor can make a subcontracting plan that kind of caters to that engages small business. And it's not just doing good faith effort. You're literally matching opportunities to the people that, the companies that you have. And so that's kind of the power in it for the owner to have that flexibility. But anyway, I'm just throwing that out there. Thanks for your
All right,
time.
thank you.
Thank you. And then the last question of the night is for Edmund. Once again, Tywia, I think you're up.
Yeah, Edmund Tawia.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate what Greg Woolley said before, that for instance, if you guys have an on-call list, you have a retainer list, and you have a project that's like about $50,000 project. Okay, you call somebody, a big firm like David Evans is on that list. You call them for an emergency project because they're on the retainer list. And David Evans is so busy with multi-million projects, and you call them to do this 50,000. It's such an inconvenience to them. It's so inconvenience to them. But to us, the small businesses, 50K is significant. And we have the flexibility and the ability and the experience to turn it over to for the city. We've been an on-call for City of Portland on a lot of little projects on the 50K that the big firms can do, but they're so busy with all these multi-million-dollar projects, it's not even fair to them to bother them. But we're able to fulfill all that project needs. So my suggestion is every small business right here online is got to be on your on-call list. Without any doubt, we all got to be on an on-call list. I want to see Leica Architects be on that list without any competition to get a call to design a broken bathroom or whatever, fix a roof or whatever, redesign, something like that. We got to be, we can't compete with the big firms. So we got to be on a list, all the small businesses. I want to be able to receive a call that there's a little design, that civil design that my firm, we can fulfill that, on the 25,000, 50,000. I can't compete with the Jacobs and the DEAs and all the big firms. They're all on the list. So without any competition, all of us on this call as registered small businesses, we got to be on some kind of a list. That's my concluding suggestion here, Terry. Thank you.
I will definitely talk with the project manager, and we will push really hard to get more small businesses on the list.
Yeah, and I think that's a wonderful point. And I think that if you realize, if you get on the list, the process that we're doing now is that pretty much we're trying to assure that everybody on the list gets used. So what it sounds like you're saying is, like Terry said, we're going to try to expand that with more small businesses. Therefore, it's not so random. It could be a lot easier for the small business to get there. And we can push the value of that list. It's more valuable to small businesses versus big businesses. So definitely something that we can bring up, and we appreciate that, Edmund. That's why it's so important to express those needs. Please shoot us an email, like I said, so we can have it, so it can be in the forefront of our mind. And in the next COVID outreach event, we can tell you the work that we've been doing towards these questions. So please, we've answered some of your questions, but please make sure that if you feel like it's very important, you shoot an email on it too, so we have a list of them. And with that being said, I want to thank everybody for your time. This doesn't only help us, it helps us serve the community and what the city of Beaverton wants to be. We want to reflect the diversity in the city. Once again, my name is Robert Lowe, and this is the Terry Maralt, my boss, and we appreciate everybody for attending. We had 60 participants today, and we are just happy that you took the time to just come. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Kitty Kong and everybody saying bye in the chat, bye, and we will see you at the next equity event. Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Have a nice night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.